Hey everyone, Crisis here. So, to give some background to this, when I posted my Raiden versus Solid Snake versus Big Boss video on my channel, essentially the main supporter of like the Metal Gear universe on Versus Battle Wiki got in touch with me. If you've been on my channel long enough, you should know what Versus Battle Wiki is. Pretty much every Discord / YouTube scaler or debater uses it to some measure, mostly for calcs, but he had a number of problems with the video and the scaling therein, and we initially debated on it before, and he said that it was a pretty bad showing of his, and he felt like he could do better if given another chance. So we just agreed to, I have that first debate recorded, but we agreed to have a second debate. And he's a cool guy. I don't want anybody to be anything but respectful. It's just some silly shit about a video game. So, and he did agree that this debate could be posted. He had no problem with it. So just keep your inside voices on. There was only one judge during the debate. The debate went down in my server, my Discord server, which will be linked in the description if you want to check it out or debate me or talk to me just about power scaling or just hang out. We ended up having a second debate. It went on for like an hour and a half, much longer than I thought it would. There was only one judge, which is a little frustrating. I like judgment. Twellas didn't really seem to care. With that said, I would like to get your guys' opinions in the comments down below on who you think won, on what points. The debate will be time-stamped. I'm going to do my best to sort of break it up into sections. Obviously, some arguments are going to bleed into each other. I'm going to do my best, since this debate did go on for longer than I thought it would. So, with that said, please enjoy. Okay. What do you want to start with first?
I'd say the Vamp thing. It's the most minor, doesn't really matter to the other 2 points.
What Vamp thing in particular? What's your premise regarding the Vamp thing?
So how well Raiden did against Vamp? Because if I recall correctly, in the video and in some messages, I think you said that you think that in the first fight Raiden and Vamp stalemated, were equal sorta, and in the second one Raiden only won because he.
I'd say at best the most like generous interpretation that you can give for Raiden in their first fight is they stalemated. Yeah.
I don't really agree to that.
Okay. So what's your premise regarding it?
So
in
the first fight, let me just grab the the cutscenes. Okay.
Are you gonna post scans? I didn't see it.
Yeah. Put scans in
the scans channel.
Yeah.
It's more. There's a link to the all cutscenes thing. Just. Not here. Okay, here it is. Okay. Here it is. Okay, so let me just. Okay. Is it fine like this?
It's time-stamped at 3 hours, 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's time-stamped.
Okay.
So my main issue with the interpretation, my 2 issues with the interpretation of Raiden stalemating is, well, first he was injured before the fight even started, and it was fairly big injuries. So are you looking at the video?
Yeah, I know the fight.
So yeah, he gets both of his lungs stabbed through, pierced basically, and I don't think that Raiden had was already in his MGR state where he was just only a brain, basically. So I think he still had either human lungs or some machine that worked like lungs. And was it me?
I don't. What do you mean? What?
No, somebody.
No. I can still hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. So it's either human lungs or. Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay. Like, if you're just saying he's injured, then like, sure. I mean, it's stated in the scenario book that he was going for the heart, and then he didn't hit anything, and so he was like, well, maybe your heart's on the other side, so he stabbed over there. So I don't even know if he actually hit any vitals.
I'm pretty sure the lungs are just there.
I mean, like you said, we don't know what he's composed of at this point.
Yeah, but I think it's safe to assume that he'd have like something in order to reoxygenate his blood, or something like that, something to breathe in and breathe out, you know. So I think that's already a pretty big deal. And the other thing is that at the end, if you actually look at it, it was Vamp that was left on the ground, really. So if Raiden actually had the syringe, as Snake did, he could have killed Vamp right there. And I know that Raiden passed out like a few minutes, not even a few minutes, like 40 seconds later, something like that. But it still was left standing in the end and could have killed Vamp if he had the means. So him not killing Vamp is just because he physically couldn't, due to not knowing how Vamp's nanomachines worked and such.
Okay.
So I consider this like not really Raiden stomping or anything, but Raiden has the edge, I think. That's why.
Okay, so your only problem is that you just don't consider it a stalemate?
No, I don't consider it really a stalemate.
Okay, so here's the definition of what a stalemate is. It's a situation in which further action or progress by opposing or competing parties seems impossible. That's the noun. And then in chess, it's a position counting as a draw in which a player is not in check but cannot move except. So just a situation in which further action or progress by opposing or competing parties seems impossible. Mm-hmm. So do you still disagree with that? Do you think there's what could Raiden have done to further his goal here?
I think the problem is the stalemate section of the fight, in the sense that Vamp didn't die. I think that's the only way you can see this as a stalemate, because Raiden was left standing and not that long, but still. The only reason Vamp didn't die is because Raiden didn't have like the what's the word?
I know what you're saying. He didn't have
the MacGuffin in order to kill Vamp. He would have killed Vamp if he had access to that. So it's not that it's impossible for one of them to actually go through with killing the other. It's just that Raiden didn't happen to have the means at that moment. So
well, it would be impossible. It would be impossible for Raiden to continue within the fight, right? Because you agree that he just didn't have the necessary means to continue or to actually beat Vamp. He would just get even if you say he got stabbed through over and over, he would just keep coming back. There's no way for Raiden to put him down with the means in which he has, right?
Yes, but my issue is that it's not really because of Vamp being stronger or anything. It's because of Vamp having regeneration and Raiden just not having a way of dealing with it. It's not because Raiden cannot go through his durability or something like that. It's just a problem of stamina and stuff like that.
I think by definition, though, it would still be a stalemate, right?
As I said, my problem is that it's not really a stalemate because of Raiden's capabilities or anything. It's just because he happened to not have the thing.
It's a stalemate because it's a lack of his. Like, Raiden is lacking in a very specific way, and that's why it's a stalemate, right?
Yeah, that's basically. It's not due to Vamp outscaling, Vamp being stronger, Vamp being more durable in the sense of just straight durability.
Okay, that's fine.
It's more of a stamina problem.
That's fine.
As I said, it's
My
not
premise,
like
my premise is that it's the stalemate within the context of the fight. Like with what we saw happen, it's a stalemate. So
yeah, in that case, yes.
as long as that's the case, then I don't really like.
Yes,
It's
yes.
fine. So
In
what?
that
Do you have anything else to say?
The second fight. I wanted to talk about the second one.
Okay.
What was your opinion on the second fight that Raiden basically won because of like shooting the knights out? So you don't consider it like a clean win?
I think he won via like feigning losing in a similar way as Big Boss when him and Ocelot are fighting at the end of MGS3 and he like fakes being knocked out so he can catch his opponent off guard. I think that was instrumental in his victory.
So you don't think like Raiden was showing himself to be superior to Vamp throughout the fight, or do you just?
I think I would say Vamp was on the winning end. I think he was being superior, and I think that shows by Raiden having to resort to feigning death to win.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm posting this. It's a video of just Vamp and Raiden fighting without Snake.
Yeah.
And basically, if you look up until minute like let me just get the precise minute. Okay, it's there. Up until okay, up until 2:24. If you actually look at the fight, Vamp managed to land literally 5 strikes, and Raiden was absolutely brutalizing him. That's my interpretation. He was just slashing at his legs and everything. And you have to keep in mind that Raiden is like going out of his way to fight Vamp with Vamp's weapon of choice. Which, I mean, I know that Raiden is like a master knife wielder via the Fox Sound training and all of that, but he still is more sort of familiar with the sword. He uses it more and all of that. So he's using Vamp's weapon, and he's absolutely destroying him. Vamp basically cannot do anything. He manages to land 5 strikes, 2 of which were like combined. So Raiden struck Vamp, and Vamp struck Raiden in the same way, kind of like in the first fight. And Vamp really only gets the upper end after he manages to he sprays blood over Raiden's eyes. So Raiden is blinded.
What timestamp? When does he get blinded? Because
okay,
yeah.
Vamp starts moving his leg to spray the blood at 2:24.
Okay, so I'll cover a few things. So I would say in terms of actual training, Raiden would be better with a knife than a sword. I know what you're saying in terms of like well, as far as like from the time he had the HF blade in like MGS2 until MGS4, let's just assume he was using it all throughout that. We know for a fact that any of his training with the sword would just be like unorthodox, like he's kind of just like just using it in his own way. Like the Rising, I think it was the writer, said that it was like completely his own like style, like he was just developing by himself with no tradition.
I think he said it in MGR in the MGR codec call.
Well, yeah, he says he never used it, but I think
he says what you're saying that he made up. Let me just check so again.
Okay, I'll also
go on.
Well, yeah, so he'd be using like unorthodox, like without training, whereas like with Foxhound, he is getting appropriate master training. Like he's actually like getting like actual, it would be the difference of like, yeah, I go to a dojo and have somebody teach me how to box. It's the difference between like categorical like street fighting and like actual martial arts. Like there is objectively more like tempered value from one methodology of training to the other. So I would say that Raiden would be better with a knife than he would be with a sword. And also, here's a timestamp at 120 before he sprays him with blood. First of all up until the fight, Raiden gets like a couple of hits in with the knife, and then they start doing the thing you described where they're just like stabbing each other like the same way, beat for beat. But then at this timestamp is when Raiden lands a kick, and then he goes for like a stab. You can just like stab through the neck or something. Vamp dodges it, throws him over his shoulder, picks him up from behind, and just pins him with knives. He's like countering him in hand to hand over and over, and then he's able to just like that's where he starts like just pinning his like his muscles together. Like that whole encounter there, he kind of just nays him in close quarters. And this is before he sprays the blood on him.
Okay. Can I?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So approximately like 15 seconds after Vamp throws Raiden on the ground, Raiden basically throws him down, judo throws him with his mouth. So I don't see how that scene is supposed to be Vamp like styling on Raiden.
Well, he like counters all of his like punches and then pins his arms to himself. I think that's a pretty good display of skill.
He counters what? Wait. So you're talking from before the throw, right?
Yeah. Let's see. When do I? The timestamp is like it's 80 seconds in. So like 120. He goes in. He lands a kick. Okay. He gets stunned back.
Yeah. Okay. So
he dodges the one punch, and then he throws him over his shoulder.
Yes.
And then he picks him up, and then he pins the one arm to his back, and then he throws another hook and counters that and pins that arm to himself.
So he counters 2 punches in total.
Counters 2 punches and pins the guy's arms to his back, and he just can't do anything about it.
He basically removes the arms from his back and
he just through strength he just rips his arms off his back. He doesn't outskill him.
No, what I'm saying is that he removes his arms from his back, goes on with the knives in his hand, and proceeds to kick Vamp's ass with that made-up weapon. So I don't think it's really a good indication of Vamp like outskilling or overpowering Raiden.
When does he kick his ass? I mean, like he gets a few hits in. But then he's still like dodging and like countering them pretty consistently. And at the end of the encounter with the knives in his hands, he just grabs one, pulls another one out, stabs him in the spine, and then throws him over.
Wait, okay, so minute 2, if you see Vamp is getting overwhelmed from minute 2 to around like minute 4, and at minute 4 Raiden just kicks him in the forehead, slashes at his stomach actually.
In minute 4?
No, minute 2, from minute 2 to 2:04.
Yeah, but okay, so that exchange ends at like 2:17, where Raiden's like sent to the ground and then rolls away. And so I would say in terms of that knife exchange, ultimately Vamp won that. If we're perceiving the fights in like segments of like their consistent back and forths, like if we're just considering those as like this is like a segment in combat, you look at like a boxing match and you're like this respective combo, who won this exchange? I would say that Vamp won it just because he, like I said, he
threw Raiden on the ground.
Yeah, he ultimately won like the knife encounter, and then he deflects the where he has the knife through his like forearm because he goes to like jab him, and then he blocks it with a knife, pulls the knife in Raiden's arm out, stabs it in his back, and then throws him over. So I would say in terms of that exchange, he ultimately won that exchange within the context of the fight.
From like 2:04 to the moment you're talking about, Raiden is like slashing him all over. It's just ragdolling him basically. Vamp is going back, staggering, he's almost falling. The only thing he does is what you're saying. So he blocks one strike and stabs Raiden in the back once, throws him down, and Raiden actually uses this opportunity to stab Vamp in the foot. So I don't think how this is like Vamp winning when he took 5 strikes while Raiden took 1, and he used that opportunity to strike Vamp once more.
What are you saying? He only took 1 strike. You saying the whole fight?
No, I'm talking about this this section. So if you look, Raiden goes for the jab, Vamp blocks, stabs him on the back, throws him down. The one attack is the knife stab.
I don't think necessary. Well, yeah. What are all? How many hits up until he gets the blood on his face? How many hits do each of them sustain from each other?
I only counted what Raiden took, and it was 5 knife stabs in total.
Okay.
And it's I counted the one where he pins Raiden's arms on his back as 2. So.
Okay.
And there are the ones where they both hit each other. So.
5 hits against Raiden.
If you consider the ones where Raiden basically doesn't even bother blocking as a Vamp, like managing to hit him or something.
Okay. So I'll count all the hits for Vamp.
As I said, this exchange basically ends with Raiden stabbing Vamp on the foot. Raiden goes back up, and then Vamp blinds him and.
Well, after he gets launched to the ground, after he gets like outskilled in that encounter, I don't see why you're just discounting like the shit Vamp does in the fight.
It's not that I'm discounting it. It's more that if you look at it in context, it's like 5 things, and in between those 5 things, Raiden is just slashing him all over and staggering him and sending him back and all of that. So it's not, I think, enough to say that Vamp is actually overpowering him when he's at most overpowering him like 2 times, and in the meantime, Raiden is managing to get hits in.
So they both just stabbed each other. I'm at that point in the fight. No, I'm watching that point in the fight where they both stab each other.
Okay. Which minute is it?
It's like 50 seconds, and then yeah, so about like 1 minute they are literally going blow for blow in terms of knife combat.
Yep. For that moment.
And then Raiden blocks, or Vamp blocks the final strike with his like arm, with his like gauntlet on his arm. And then he Raiden goes for like the swing with the knife in his hand. Vamp counters it, throws him over his shoulder, and then does the shit where he pins his arms to himself, and is able to counter like his hooks and shit. Raiden's, I mean, like that's blatantly overpowering him. If he can just grab his arm and fold it into his back and stab right through it, that is blatantly overpowering him. Like what you're describing is like Raiden like front kicks him and he staggers back a bit, but I think that's much less a display of overpowering somebody than manipulating their limbs. Like just Raiden offers no resistance to getting his like limbs like pierced to his own body.
Wait a second, I'm looking at. Okay, so around 5 seconds, Raiden does the exact same thing. If you look, he blocks one of Vamp's knife strikes, bends his arm over, and basically just points the knife to Vamp's
at 5 seconds.
The fight could have ended here, really. Raiden basically just goes back. If you look.
When did he
for no reason?
He didn't manipulate his arm.
Yeah.
He like holds it. He holds it in place, but that's different than like grabbing it and like nearly rotating an entire joint like into his back. And he does it to both of his arms.
He still grabbed him and pulled him over to one point and incapacitated him for a few seconds.
Yeah. So, but you agree that that's qualitatively different than taking both of his arms and pinning it to his body.
I mean, it's not that like, for instance, wait a second. Okay, it's not really like he manages to bend his arm like once or twice. It's not that that big of a deal. Raiden also.
You don't consider bending someone's both of their arms into their chest and then stabbing them through, like, you don't consider that like a pretty impressive, like, that's pretty blatantly, like, what else would that be than overpowering your opponent? If I could literally just grab you and fold your arms into your body and stab through you.
What I'm talking about is that it's not that relevant actually in the fight itself, because
well, you were saying that the fight isn't a display, that there's not enough displays of him like overpowering the opponent, or that you necessarily think Vamp is like overpowering Raiden here.
No, not really. What I'm saying is that it's not that Raiden only won because he feinted defeat, and I think it's not a thing of like Vamp stomping Raiden and him only managing to win because of that.
Okay. Do you agree that if Raiden hadn't feigned defeat there, he would have died? He would have got cut through by the HF blade.
By the same way, if Vamp hadn't basically pocket sanded him, Raiden wouldn't even have been put in that situation.
Where does it show like the blood in his face? Like, is it fogging up his entire visor or something?
224, he goes for the leg swipe, and Raiden straight up closes his eyes, and you see, I can't really tell what color that is, like black stuff all over his eyes, and he scratches on his eyes and all of that. So he's just blinded; he cannot see straight up.
I don't know, because
if he opens his eyes, even when he opens his eyes, like. I don't. Have you ever had sand thrown into your eyes?
I've gotten sand in my eyes before. Yeah, I don't know if sand is like having blood in your eyes.
No, not really. But what I mean is that even if you open your eyes, it's not like you can clearly see and all of that.
Okay, but like big boss fights with like no eye, like literally missing an entire eye, and also like you agree that like there's situational awareness, and even that they can be like hindered in combat, it still is like not that big of a nerf. And if he can open both eyes, it's not like he has fucking. It's not like he's playing an FPS where like you get shot up and there's little blood stains on your eyeballs. Like he's got like quiet eyeshadow on his eyes. I don't know why that means he's completely and utterly like blind.
But he's completely blind. But I mean in the section where Vamp manages to actually goes in and overpowers him. That's where Raiden is completely blinded and cannot do anything. I think after that it's more of a foggy eyes thing.
What do you have to back this up? Because like he gets blood on his eyes and he like cowers for a bit, but like why? Like he gets knives thrown at him, which I mean, like, I don't know why. Like I don't know why. I still, like I said, these characters have. Like Solid Snake fights invisible dudes. Like he literally fights people with the
Snake.
Huh?
This section is not about.
Yeah, you don't think MGS4 Raiden doesn't even scale to like MGS1 Snake's skill?
No, yeah, but what I mean is that that's not what we're talking about.
No, but I'm saying that at this point their skill level should be thus so they can fight fucking invisible people.
I mean, the very fact of being blinded is like it's worse of not being blinded. That's what I'm going for, you know.
Okay,
it's still a nerf. It doesn't matter how small you think it is. It's still a nerf.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say that it's like a 0.0 to the millionth power 1% nerf. That's fine, but he still gets bullied via that. He gets like lit the fuck up and stabbed through. And if do you agree that if he didn't, like, now I think we're past the sanity eye point. So do you agree that if Raiden hadn't feigned death, that he would have got like fucking murdered?
In this situation?
Yeah, in the fight.
Well, in this situation, no, I mean in the situation in which he's in. So Vamp blinds him and everything. So we're talking straight up
from 329 forward. If Vamp had if Raiden hadn't feigned, you know, being defeated, if he just laid there defeated, he would have died. Yeah.
In this situation, yes.
Okay.
In this case, yes.
Then if you have nothing else to bring up, then I think that's fair enough for the judges. They can judge this point if they want.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Can go on to the interesting one.
Yeah, what else? What's you got?
It's the Armstrong and Raiden one.
Okay. What's your
so interesting.
What's your premise with the Armstrong Raiden fight?
My premise is that first off, just to be sure, like you agree that Armstrong at the beginning of the fight is like no-selling Raiden and he's stronger than him?
Yeah, he no-sells his flurry.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. No, because on VS Battle Wiki they don't agree to that. So
they don't agree that he no-selled him?
No.
They're goofy. I'm built different though.
So my argument here is that basically Raiden, throughout the fight with Armstrong, Raiden grows in strength and becomes equal, if not stronger than Armstrong. That's my...
Okay, do you want to present that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, let me just...
I posted the one scan in general by accident, but yeah, keep posting them in scans.
Oh, yeah. Let me just grab... that's Armstrong. Not here. Where's the flurry? Okay, here. So, throughout the first section of the fight, well, first off, Armstrong is casual, obviously because he's trying to still recruit Raiden and everything. And even in this situation, we have a codec call from Doc. Let me just grab the...
Try not to shotgun. Just present evidence for like one point at a time.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay.
Armstrong strength. So, even in the first section of the fight, there are statements from Doctor about okay. There are statements about Raiden Armstrong being able to... Doc states that even a single blow from Armstrong could prove fatal, which could be interpreted with Armstrong being able to one-shot Raiden or like incapacitating him or anything. But still, I think it's not really arguable that Armstrong, a casual Armstrong could still like demolish Raiden at that point, because if you look, he sends him flying with every minor punch.
He can send him flying, but would you say that like he's going pretty serious when he destroys Excelsis?
Yeah. That point. I'm talking about the section before that. So up until the video I've sent, up until about 2150, so when Raiden just tells him that he won't join him, Armstrong is casual, and there's already that statement from Doc.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the second phase with the flurry of punches, and Armstrong just no-sells it. And at the end of the second section, when he destroys Excelsus, he's just straight up bloodlusted, and he's trying actually to kill Raiden. He's not suppressed anymore, and Raiden can still tank all of that. But the most... Do you have any problems up until this point?
No, just get out your argument. Just lay out your scaling.
Okay, so already the fact of Raiden not dying or being completely incapacitated is a really big deal when we look at Doctor's statements, because Doctor, of course, is the guy who made Raiden's body. So there are cases of Doctor being more knowledgeable about Raiden's body than Raiden himself. So I think is a very reliable source when it comes to gauging just how much punishment Raiden can take. So after that, there's the final section of the fight when he gets the Murasama, and at this point, this is the point where it gets very blatant that Raiden is straight up overpowering him and matching him blow for blow. I will post some comparisons. These are the QTEs, which are mandatory, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like some option. Oh, it didn't pop up. Okay. Can you see the link? Does it work?
Yeah, it works.
Okay. Raiden, of course, is matching Armstrong blow for blow, and in this case, it's even the same cheek, which is it's a nice thing because you can't even say that Armstrong's nanomachines like don't work there, because there are cases of them working. And you have, of course, Armstrong straight up saying that one hurt and all of that, and being sent flying with a single punch. Then there are scenes like this one, where Raiden outright blocks a punch from Armstrong with his own arm and proceeds to just pound him. And if you look at it in comparison to like the previous section, of course, it's the difference is fairly big. And
okay, let me say something.
Yeah.
So, do you, in the second skin you just posted, Raiden is punching Armstrong, and the areas he's hitting aren't being like turned into the hardened nanomachines.
It's just about the. It's just a problem with the game engine, because it doesn't render the Armstrong's nanomachines in real time, because there's actually no canonical reason for Armstrong's nanomachines to not be hardened there. So
okay, do you have a statement that it's do you have a statement or something that it's about the graphics?
Not really, but I have statements about Armstrong's nanomachines being automatic and being outside of his free will, so he physically cannot just not have them not harden. That's the whole point of the heart thing, that the heart controls his nanomachines without Armstrong's will coming into play.
Okay, well,
I think it's very fair to, and I mean, you can also see it in other scenes. It's not just this. And at the end of the last scene I sent, he just punches him on his shoulder, which is blackened. So
where does he punch him on the shoulder?
Wait, 1 second from the end.
In the second comparison?
Yes. I think it's the second comparison. Let me just check.
Let me see.
Yes, it's the second one.
It looks like he punches him like across the face.
I see him punching the shoulder.
It looks like it looks like to me he's going for the jaw. There's like a big splash damage, so it's kind of difficult to see.
Yeah, that's
I would just say that considering that like he goes to slam, like he does the arm thing where he's able to block the arm, he then pummels him on the side, where like if this is a QTE, so sure they can't render them in real time, but they could just as easily just like render him actually like the spot where his skin would be hardened, where he would be hitting him, and that's just not like they could have just made a bigger texture. Can you see what I'm saying? And so, so with that, I would just say he's just not hitting the parts that are hardened.
But do you like have an actual canonical because this contradicts the whole point of Armstrong's nanomachine. What you're saying contradicts the.
I don't necessarily have to have a reason if it's happening on screen. Like I've provided a reason. I provided a counter to your like, oh, it's a thing of the engine. So like I don't have to have like a canonical reason. If it's just on screen, then that's just what is the case.
Let me just let's see if you can, because I'm pretty sure in this same scene on the left you can see Armstrong's skin being pink underneath the shirt. You can see the little tears and all of that.
Okay, where's that?
I think you can see Armstrong's skin being white there also.
Where? Are you
if
posting something, or
around-
is it in some
around the
other?
beginning.
Of which one?
If you look at the second one.
Around the beginning of the second one, his skin
it's
looks what?
No, if you look at the tears on his shirt, on Armstrong's shirt, it looks like his skin is still pink underneath.
Where he's
he
punching
clearly
him?
has his nanomachines hardened.
Where he's punching him in the abdomen?
Yes, the
I
flurry.
I cannot see. I don't know if it's the low resolution or what. I don't even see like tears. I see creases in his in the fabric of his shirt, but I don't see any rippage aside from on his right arm, on his right bicep.
Okay, here. There's a pic. I'll just post a screenshot.
Okay.
Signal generator. Church bells. We're in the wrong.
That's on his what is that? His pec or his shoulder?
That's his shoulder.
Is he punching him in the shoulder? Or is he punching him in the abdomen?
In the chest.
Okay,
But
so
this is not like. I'm saying that it's not the only scene in which
right, but his
Armstrong's,
his shoulder wouldn't be rendering he's not hitting him in the shoulder. The nanomachines respond to physical trauma, so where he gets hit, they are activated. He's not getting hit in the shoulder here. We even in cutscenes, he'll kick him in the gut or something, or punch him, and we don't see his face, turn into the hardened nanomachines. So it only hardens where he's exactly hit, because we know for a fact that his head and such can actually be hardened by nanomachines.
Yes. Well, I mean, this isn't really. My point is that it's a problem with the engine, because it contradicts the canon. So
I just don't. I mean, that seems like
what-
a heavy assumption. Whereas I'm saying that if it's an on screen, that's not an assumption to say it's on screen, then that's just the matter of fact the way it functions.
But that's not an assumption to say that it contradicts how.
It's an assumption. It's an assumption to say, sure, it can contradict, but if something's what is it, a statement that says that it's gonna harden?
Yes.
You're right. So
It's the whole point, statement from.
Sure.
Of course, the statement from Armstrong himself.
Sure. So an important statement, right?
All important, yes.
Right.
All important.
But a feat in terms of this is actually what's happening, what we're seeing happen is still would be above, no matter how relevant a statement. And so, and then like I said, it would be an assumption to say it's a problem with the graphics engine, because I even gave an alternative where if they really wanted to have it be, because even in the nanomachines, they respond to where they're being hit, like I said, but it's a general area, because where Raiden's actually hitting him in the I think the second GIF on the right side, we see his whole, he goes to slam him with his forearm, right, but we see his whole arm light up. So it does more actually than what the exact surface area of the attack. We even see it a little bit on his chest and up his neck. So they could have just widened the texture to be where Raiden would hit him, but they didn't do that. So it's not just oh, it's a gameplay thing. And we even see they're intentionally animating the area in which it's going up his body during the during the QTE, which would obviously have more attention to detail than actual raw gameplay.
Just a little bit of clarification.
Yeah.
So, what is the contention with the nanomachines specifically?
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but the earlier Raiden couldn't affect the nanomachines at all, and here, Twellas' point is, well, he's hitting him in the chest, and there's a statement that the nanomachines harden in response to physical trauma. So even though it's not showing up on screen, it must be that he's doing damage to the nanomachines.
To be fair, it's not. Can I?
Sure.
Just a throwaway statement. It's how Armstrong's nanomachines are stated to work, and it's how the boss fight works, and how Armstrong is defeated. Basically, it's the entire point of the nanomachines that they harden automatically.
Right.
It's not just a throwaway statement from somebody or something like that.
Well.
So the contention is whether he's hitting the hardened.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're saying that it's visually not there, so he's not.
Yes.
Right.
And my point is that
I understood.
Okay. So, do you have anything else to add, Twellas?
yes,
Okay.
in the I don't. Okay, so I think you should be able to see it in the second comparison, just like at the very beginning, like before Raiden starts punching his gut. They hit each other's punch, and Raiden blocks him, straight up blocks him, and starts pummeling him and all of that. So already that is a showing of Raiden affecting, I'd say, blocking a part of Armstrong that is hardened already. So even if we go with the thing that Armstrong's nanomachines just didn't harden, which I don't think is valid, to be honest, there's already a showing of Raiden blocking and matching a blow from Armstrong that is
Okay,
actually
so what's
undoubtedly nanomachines.
what's happened up to this point in the fight? Because I see Armstrong's like health meter is it's weakened at this point.
His health right here is actually 175 out of 200. So
Right,
it's
so
the very beginning of the fight.
Okay, so what has
In the
happened
second
up to this
comparison.
point? Let me look up the fight.
No, I'll post.
You posted the whole fight where?
Yeah, scans. I already posted it, I think, but
Is it the first
here
one?
it is.
Yeah,
Just
they're
the
not.
Fight
It's just the
itself.
links loading themselves, so I can't see like what they are.
Hmm?
It's just the links posting themselves, so that's why I couldn't find it earlier.
I don't know why it does that, to be honest.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's no problem.
It should already be timestamped, the video itself.
Okay, so let me.
Do you want me to go into the
No, I'm just going through the fight right now. I'm scanning through it, seeing what's happening here.
So do you have a problem with my latest thing about Raiden matching Armstrong's armored arm?
Yeah, I want to go through the context beforehand.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, all up until the Excelsis explosion, he's kind of just ragdolling Raiden.
Yes.
So let me scan through the rest of the thing here. So he gets the Mirasama,
Yes.
and then he'd be like cutting into him the whole time, yeah?
Cutting him in terms of gameplay, like every other enemy and such, but canonically speaking, already in the Armstrong versus Sam, you can see that the Murasama cannot cut Armstrong. I'll post the fight. Armstrong and Sam, I mean. Timestamped. So.
But it can't damage him though, right?
I'll post the scene.
Because he like does like an overhand strike and it like knocks Armstrong down. And he like gets up like holding his like.
Scene.
It's a QTE.
Of him slashing. Yeah, that's it's a QTE.
Right.
But of him slashing him across the body, of course, it didn't actually happen because Armstrong would be dead if it happened.
Well, not necessarily, because don't we even see in like how they're modeling Armstrong, like in the QTs and 4, that there are like slash marks on his body?
You mean with Raiden's fight?
Yeah.
At the very end.
Okay, so throughout the fight he's been cutting him up?
So, basically the fact that Armstrong's nanomachines are getting weaker is not really suggested by anything. There are showings of Armstrong just nagging. I'll post the timestamp. The whole fight actually without the timestamp. I'm sorry that it doesn't actually show the thumbnail.
No, that's no problem, man. Don't worry about it.
Okay, it's the latest one. In the cutscenes, you can clearly see that Armstrong just doesn't really care about the Murasama. The only actual difference between the Murasama... Well, actually, let me just check this too before I...
But even in the QTE, they're animating like blood loss.
You mean with the Sam fight?
Yeah, but in both fights.
Yeah, but I mean you have like showings of if your point is that the Murasama weakens the nanomachines, there are scenes right after of Armstrong no selling the blade. So
My point
you
is that you lose nanomachines through blood loss.
Okay.
Yeah, right. And he's losing blood as he's getting slashed.
But the problem with this point is that we are told in the codec codes that Armstrong's nanomachines are. How Armstrong works is that he's basically entirely made of nanomachines. I'll just post this.
Okay, but if he was losing blood in which there are nanomachines in, he'd still be losing nanomachines. Like, he has blood, he has a heart to pump blood. And I think they even made a point in the art book to say, like, yeah, he has a heart, like, he's still human. Like, he still has a human element to him.
Yeah. Okay, let me just post the...
So yeah, my point would be that as the fight's going on, due to the Murasama, he'd be losing blood, and would therefore be losing his, like, source of power.
Okay, but you, like, for instance, the second comparison I've shown is that after 30 seconds of fighting, and we have showings of him standing and being able to no-sell slashes from Sam, who's at that point comparable to Raiden. I mean, the before he gets amped. So it's, I think this showing with Sam shows that you cannot weaken him like 5 minutes of fighting, and the QTEs happen basically as soon as the fight starts.
Okay.
So,
well, obviously, if he's able to draw blood, like you're just saying, like, okay, there's a disparity in how they're fighting, so that must mean it's impossible. When what I'm saying is that Raiden is able to draw blood from him. Like, that is what's happening. So you can draw whatever conclusion you want, but that, like, just because Raiden is drawing blood from him and Sam can't, that's not inherently a contradiction.
wait, are you talking about the very end of the fight?
No,
With Raiden, I mean?
I'm talking about all throughout the fight. Like, even in QTEs and such, he's drawing blood from him, which we've acknowledged as, like...
Okay, can you give me a timestamp?
Sure. Let me find you a good one here. Let me see here. Right, so here, as he's, like, lunging at him, you see there's, like, a splash of blood during the QTE, and, like, it's animated intentionally.
When he strikes his head, you mean?
Yeah.
Nah, I cannot see blood for the life of me.
Okay, I'll send...
Can you screenshot it?
Yeah, I'll send a screenshot.
I see like an explosion, but I don't see blood.
Okay, so I'll circle it. You can kind of see it all throughout. It's like this very visible, like, red splatter around there, circled there.
I think that's just flames. I don't. Let me just look. Okay, let me just go through it at like 0.25 speed or something.
Let me see if I can find this fight like 4K. Because this is a crunchy playthrough here. I've got a folder for just MGS footage to make my videos easier.
I genuinely don't see blood. It's not even to support my point. It's I genuinely don't see it.
Yeah, I'm going through a 4K version of the thing now. This dude sucks at playing the game.
Do you have the timestamp for that, by the way, just so I can see if I can...
Sure. Let me get in the original clip for you. I'll find it. Oh yeah, it's the clip above it. The link above that. That's timestamped.
Oh,
The link above the picture I posted. It's timestamped.
I have to finish this game. That's it.
You need to play through all the other ones first. What the fuck are you doing? Let me see.
And while you look for all of this, I'll just say that this increase is not like something that's completely out of left field. But I don't think I won't go into it right now because we're.
Yeah. What about the last time he like stabs through him? You see blood gushing.
At the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the very end, you see like him. The final QT, you mean, right?
Yeah, where he stabs through his body.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
mean,
he can be bled through by Raiden.
Yeah,
Wait,
but
again, what's the point of the blood point between him and Sam?
Okay, so my point, okay, so I'll.
You mean the timestamp?
The point. This is the point of this point. Again, jump in. I don't want to misrepresent your argument, but it's basically like he's saying that for Raiden to do like any amount of damage would mean that he's necessarily like stronger than he was at the start of the fight because he'd be damaging like his nanomachines or whatever.
Oh, wait, not necessarily any amount of damage. I'm talking about him like sending him flying with a punch. It's not like him slightly staggering him. It's a very big gap. Is what I'm saying.
Sure, that's fine.
Like
Are you saying that this is like impossible? Or are you saying that like I'm not sure?
What I'm saying is that to me the most sound interpretation is that Raiden got stronger, which, as I said, is supported by other stuff from before that I can talk about if you want.
Yeah, and my point is that regarding this instance is that we see that we know nanomachines are like throughout the blood. We know that Armstrong has blood, and we know that you can lose like his main power source is nanomachines. Like he said, he's mostly comprised of nanomachines. So as he'd be losing blood throughout the fight, which is the purpose of my scans, and so he'd be getting more so weaker throughout the fight, rather than Raiden necessarily getting stronger.
One of you is saying he's getting stronger, while one of you is saying the other one's getting weaker.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So then I'm going to ask this just to see if we can move this on. If the other person was right, would that necessarily change your scaling or other things?
This is just sort of a point unto its own, I believe.
Right. Okay.
No. I think this is important for the next one for me.
Okay.
What do you mean scaling? Like scaling to Armstrong, or
let's say that he was right. Let's say that he was just weakening Armstrong for a second, right? Would that then mean that like your other interpretations couldn't be correct because of this information here? Or could your rest of your scaling still work even if this interpretation of even if Crisis's interpretation was able to go through?
I think it would be. Can I? Okay. No. Okay. No. I think it would be. My point would be less poignant, but it could still work. This is like the most blatant thing, the most blatant jump, I think, but it could still work, I think.
Right. Okay. Well, except for if you guys have more stuff to bring up on this point specifically, I think I've heard both arguments. But yeah.
Okay.
Like obviously you guys can continue if you want. Obviously.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Twellas? I feel fine about it so far, but if you have anything else to bring up, that's fine.
The other, I don't really know if I should bring up like the other cases of Raiden getting a lot stronger. Would that change your mind?
No,
in
not
some
really.
way?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because like well, you sent all that stuff last time we talked. Like
Which one?
you posted all the scans of his like power growth.
So you have a problem with the Armstrong thing and not with Raiden growing stronger. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean he obviously gets stronger.
Okay. Do you agree with me when it comes to the degree in which he gets stronger? How much stronger he grows, or?
I mean, do you have like a number?
In,
Actually, I think it's fine. You can go through that then. So this will be a separate point then about just his power progression, like blatantly.
which is important to the last point.
Yep.
Which is the scaling.
Okay.
So my point with this, my problem with the scaling is that first off, do you? Yeah, I know your point. Yeah, as you said, evolved, but did you get any? That's what you said. It's not me saying it.
Listen,
And,
I'm a higher form of life, is what I'll say. than
do
what
you
I
have
was before.
any other straight up scans, or is it just?
I'm not just gonna
the-
post all my scans right now. Like, yeah, we're in a debate. Like,
just to
if
know
you,
if there are, so in order so that I can go on and address that point.
I don't
if
think
it's
I want
the
to do
only
that.
one.
Just make your point, bro. Just say what you want to say. I'm not gonna fucking dump all my scans on you for you to just make counter arguments about them.
Okay. So.
Like, what? Hey, dude, let me see all your scans real quick before we debate. Like, what do you mean?
No, I mean to address your point.
Yeah, just go on about
Okay.
this
so
point
I
specifically.
go on and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking about MGS4 snake scaling to MGRR.
Well, you want to talk about that, or you just want to talk about Ryan getting stronger throughout this game?
Oh, do you want to talk about Raiden getting stronger? I'm going to talk about it here.
It's up to you.
Later on.
You're the one with the problems with my video, I guess. You brought it up earlier, but yeah, you can go ahead. You can start. It's cool.
Did you say? Did you agree that Raiden got stronger?
Sure. He got stronger.
Okay. So I guess I'm just going to argue about the amount because I have kind of a value.
Okay.
So, of course, we agree that Reaper mode makes Raiden a lot stronger.
It makes him stronger, sure.
Okay. So there is this. I think you already know about this. I already posted it, but I'm still going to post it for the judges. The calc about Reaper mode making Raiden 7 times stronger in game consistently, on average. So it's sometimes in some cases it's 8 times, sometimes it's 6, but in the overwhelming amount of times it's 7.
Okay, I would say this is pretty blatantly a gameplay mechanic. Like, are you because it's just like it would be like trying to have a debate with somebody where it's like argument like the Super Saiyan multipliers, and it's like, oh well, I don't think it's 50 times because in Budokai Tenkaichi my hit points register like a 2 times increase from base to Super Saiyan. Like it literally is only relevant to gameplay. Like it's not like that. That is why I think it's a gameplay mechanic.
But in this case, there's no contradiction with canonical material. If anything, we have statements about Raiden. I don't remember the exact words, but it's like makes him deal far greater damage and stuff like that. So
do you think something has to inherently contradict something for it to be acknowledged as a gameplay mechanic?
Not necessarily, but what I'm saying is that in your example, there is a contradiction of a canonical piece of data. In this case, there's not.
I think the comparison, like it's inherently analogous because it's just a gameplay multiplier. So you're attacks like register differently to fodder. And I mentioned this in our last debate, and you didn't really have a solid enough counter for it. Where I'm like, okay, so if you can't just have a double standard where like, oh well, I think Raiden is 7 times stronger because he hurts fodder. He's 7 times does 7 times more damage against fodder. But you can't also say that fodder is 1/7 Raiden, which you also were like, oh no, that's silly. So it can't. It's just not logically consistent for it to go both ways, because fodder enemies can like kick you and damage you and shit.
But in this case, we have multiple statements from both.
There are statements you get stronger. There are statements that makes you stronger.
No, I'm talking about the cyborgs, the fodders.
Okay, what about them?
There are multiple statements, both in-game and from authors, that the fodders don't scale to Raiden at all.
Okay,
So-
then all the more to my argument, that helps my argument that it would be logically inconsistent for you to try to apply a multiplier to his power based on ideas against fodder. Because if you said they're way weaker, then yeah, it would contradict it even further.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I see that.
Okay.
Okay. So with the quantification, I think we're done here.
Okay.
I don't have any other numbers, just sort of ways to know that Raiden got stronger from this point.
Okay.
So we're talking about MGS4 Snake scaling to MGR Raiden.
Yep.
So my problem with this is that first off, we have like the database with Raiden's bodies, and there's the MGS4 body, and we have a statement about its battle potential being extremely limited and all of that. I'll post the. Wait a sec. Being extremely limited, and if we're talking about chronology, this would be referring to the standard body, which.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the thumbnails. I don't know.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay. It would be about the standard cyborg body, which the name states is a standard cyborg body, so it would be around the level of normal cyborgs, more high tier, but still around that realm of power. And in this description, we have a statement about it not being good for serious combat and all of that. So I think we could safely say that it's around the same level as the normal cyborgs because of this little segment and because it's.
Okay, can I stop you for a second? Because I don't want you to just go on a tangent if it's like not gonna matter. So I think Snake scales above MGS4 Raiden. So why is it relevant that like MGS4 Raiden is weaker than these people?
We're debating if MGS4 Snake scales to MGR, right?
Right, but I think he scales above MGS4 Raiden. So why is that a counter argument to my point?
Let me just make the entire point. It will make more sense.
Okay.
So then we have, of course, the custom body, and there are, of course, a lot of statements in universe. Let me just grab where is it? Various statements in universe by knowledgeable people about average cyborgs being no match for Raiden's custom body and all of that. We have where is it? Okay, we have this in particular, which helps to quantify it. According to which the difference between an average cyborg and Raiden's custom body would be the same difference between a standard PC against a supercomputer. And just to roughly quantify it, the supercomputer is hundreds of thousands of times stronger than a normal computer. I can
stronger.
So more potent, like processor and all of that. The supercomputer. I mean, in this case, we're talking about combat bodies, so of course.
So
it's
you're
about
arguing
strength
he's
and
how?
what's-
So how much stronger are you arguing he is if you're trying to quantify it?
A lot.
A lot is not a real quantification. Come on, bro.
I mean, the only quantification I have, as I said, is the supercomputer one, which I found is like hundreds of thousands of times stronger, more powerful than a normal PC.
So are you arguing that he's that much stronger than MGS4 Raiden?
It might actually be more because the MGS4 body, as I said, is stated to be already obsolete compared to a standard body.
Okay. Do you have any like? Okay. Can you show me the evidence for the supercomputer thing first?
I found this. I didn't really look. I just found this. I can look it up in more precise stuff. But even if you don't want to quantify it, I think we can agree that a supercomputer is a lot more powerful than a normal PC.
Okay, so are you going with the quantification a lot?
If you have a problem with the hundreds of thousands of times, sure.
Okay,
I think it's safer to say a lot.
That's
If
fine.
it
That's
helps,
fine. That's
like,
fine. That's fine. That's fine. If you
Is
want
it
to go,
fine
low.
to say a lot?
That's fine. That's fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
So, of course, at this point we're talking about, like, I think it's safe to say around beginning of game, so average Raiden like at the start of the game, and at this point, with the monsoon fight, let me just monsoon. With the monsoon fight, we have monsoon matching Raiden's Reaper mode. Matching is a very big word, but you can see at the end that he like tanks a bunch of bloodlusted kicks from Raiden.
Okay.
I timestamp this. So I think it's safe to assume that Monsoon would be around the level of power of Reaper mode.
Where does he
Raiden
match
at
him?
this point.
The timestamp is just him stomping him into the wall. When does he match him?
Flying kick and then the flying kick and then the stomps. Yes. What I mean is that he wasn't like pulverized. He's conscious because he talks. You can hear him. So even
Hold up. Wait, what? Nah, fam. Are you serious?
What?
Okay. So you think like Thor getting his face like stomped in by Thanos in like Endgame? You think that's a feat for Thor? Like where he gets like stomped, like Fat Thor gets stomped into the ground, and then like during just before Cap or just after Cap like hits him with Mjolnir.
I'm not. What I'm saying is that Monsoon can fight throughout a whole boss fight with Reaper mode Raiden. It's like there is a fight. It's what I'm saying.
Okay. I mean, listen.
This is like I'm just trying to. I'm avoiding them hitting each other with blades and just looking for straight up punches and kicks because it's easier to say that they scale to each other.
Okay, well, if
there's an entire fight of the two going back and forth.
Okay, but if you're acknowledging that they can hit each other with blades and still like be relevant to each other, also Monsoon's whole shtick is not getting hit, and so you can be between having a weapon, because if you're just arguing like contextually, they have a boss fight. It's like okay, but if from what you've acknowledged as well, he has two weapons where they can clash each other, not necessarily scale to each other. You said you're avoiding that, and also his entire like boss battle like shit is not being hit. So that, as well as the fact that what you've acknowledged this far is the only like valid time that they're able to like physically fuck with each other, Raiden is just stomping the shit out of them, which you already yourself earlier were like, when I brought up my knowledge, you kind of try to sidestep it and be like, yeah, I don't want to acknowledge that, I'm gonna move on from that. So, but, yeah, I don't necessarily.
The
agree.
only problem I have with that is that the gimmick with Monsoon not getting it only actually activates midway through the fight.
Okay.
So there is a good span of time in which Monsoon.
Okay, well then, yeah, you'd be using his Psy. Like, you've given enough justification where he, like, the physical stuff of him just getting stomped in the wall does not contradict him having a boss battle where he necessarily has to physically scale to him. Like, you've given justification for that yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not arguing that Monsoon is equal to Reaper Mode Raiden, you know? I'm saying he's around that level of power.
I don't
like,
think...
he can fight, but he's weaker.
Okay, I think I've well enough presented that that's not necessarily true. So if you have no other substantiation of that argument, then we can go to the next point.
But my point after this is that a few minutes later, Raiden fights one of Monsoon's spare bodies along with after Mistral. Actually, he fights him in base form, so he would you know have he performs better actually against the copy, which we know is the exact same thing with Monsoon. Let me just spare bodies. Man. Because they can be used like they can be used for spare parts in case of damage to the main body. So the backup body would scale to the original body. And Raiden fights him in base form and performs comparatively to how he performed in Reaper mode against the true Monsoon. And Monsoon has the same thing where he detaches and avoids attacks. And he does this after fighting Mistral also. So
Okay.
I think this is one of the more blatant cases of Raiden like growing stronger. As I said, Monsoon is not really equal to Reaper mode, but still, Raiden performs in the same way to an equal Monsoon, but he's in base this time, is my point.
Okay, so do you have anything else?
Do you want...
Sorry. Did you post that second fight with his
No, I posted here.
He did.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't. It's fine. If you don't go to your way to see it, true, that's fine.
I have to find the MGRR cutscenes. It's not here. Before the Sundowner fight, let me just... It should be around here. Okay. So I'll timestamp the Mistral fight first, if it's not a problem. Do you want to go straight to the Monsoon one?
It's up to True. I assume that's what he asked for the second time they fight.
Okay, so... okay. Here it is. It's right at the end of the Mistral one, and there are a few seconds of that time, but still. So what were you saying, Crisis?
I was just saying, do you have
You're
anything
fine
else?
with it?
I feel like I already sort of like countered it, so you can just go on with, if you want, with another argument, another point. It's up to you.
And so basically my point here is that we have multiple statements that give us the idea of MGR Raiden being completely blowing MGS4 Raiden out of the water. We have showings of Raiden getting stronger. Even if you don't want to say that he got equal to his Reaper mode, I think we can agree that he performed comparatively to his Reaper mode against Monsoon, but he did it in base. So at this, and if we go with the with my Armstrong interpretation, there's another power jump, and so my point here is that basically all of this causes a paradox with the statement you bring as evidence, because if we actually agree with Raiden saying, if we actually interpret that statement from Raiden about Snake as Snake being able to scaling to MGR Raiden, then we'd have to say that MGS4 Snake is like hundreds of thousands of times stronger than Raiden in MGS4, which means he's hundreds of thousands of times stronger than Vamp, which means he's hundreds of thousands of times stronger than basically everyone else in the series, really. And also, if we go with the Armstrong interpretation, even if we interpret your statement as a Snake scaling to MGR Raiden at that point of the story, it wouldn't matter, because Raiden got a lot stronger, if we go with that interpretation of Armstrong.
Okay, so I think what you essentially just did like a bunch of what ifs. My argument thus far, I think okay, so I think I sufficiently countered your pretty much the entire scaling that you were trying to present, like most quantifications to him getting stronger, like the supercomputer thing. You just said, oh, it's just a lot, just a vague amount. And as far
I went with if it solves problems and inquiries between us, we can say a lot. But if you don't have a specific problem with the supercomputer quantification, I'd go with it. Do you have like a counter?
Yeah, what feat do they have to suggest that they're hundreds of times, like that Raiden is hundreds of thousands of times stronger than like even the opponents he's fighting? Like, can you back up the supercomputer thing?
Difference? Well, we have a ton of statements about him the fodder cyborgs being no match for him and all of that. It's a sort of like Dante thing, where he canonically like one shots basically everyone, but you don't go like asking for he proved that he's like hundreds of thousands of times stronger than the other enemies.
Okay.
We have the statements. There's basically nothing concrete to contradict them, and I don't see the problem with going with it.
Okay. Yeah, what I'll just say is yeah, like, okay, so Snake has the statement that from Raiden in which he says that he is able to affect them, or that, you know, no one can stop him. So what's your problem with that again? That he's stronger with everybody?
Okay, so if we go with it, it would basically make him like hundreds of thousands of times stronger than everyone else. And my problem is that it's a statement from like a character, and which could be interpreted as being hyperbolic, and there are different interpretations, so it's not set in stone, is what I'm saying.
Okay, here's the statement. Let me read the statement again from the character designer. Broadly speaking, all cyborgs in the game use the same technological systems as Raiden. However, unlike Raiden, cyborg soldiers are mass production models made of affordable parts. You can liken this to standard PCs set against a supercomputer. Okay, so he's just speaking in broad generalities. So why is this relevant to the scaling that you've tried to present thus far?
You mean like how this translates into power?
What to who? Who is he broadly speaking about? Like what is the relevancy to your skill chain or power AP scaling?
Because he's talking about average cyborgs, and we have the statement about the MGS4 body being a lot weaker than the standard body, which is a standard cyborg body. That's my scaling.
Okay. Standard cyborg body, a cyborg frame enhanced with carbon nanotube muscle fiber. So who else has this body?
What do you mean?
Like, what other You know what? It's fine. So yeah, Snake would just scale from the Raiden statement. It's fine. So do you have any? Just go ahead and just. What do you have any problem with that? Do you want to debate on that?
Can you explain to me how it's not a contradiction with how Snake can be like
I'm not gonna prove a negative. Prove to me why it's a contradiction.
Sorry, I couldn't hear. Sorry.
I'm not gonna prove a negative. You asked me to explain why it's not a contradiction. So can you explain me why it is instead? Since I don't have to prove a negative.
So MGS. So for instance, we have the statement about MGS4 Raiden being stronger than MGS2 Raiden. He's enhanced, so he would be around that level. And you have like Raiden fighting all sorts of people, and you have him fighting Solidus and all of that. And at that point, do you think that MGS2 Snake is stronger than MGS4 Snake? Actually, I'm interested in that. It's relevant.
Not necessarily.
So you'd say they're around the same level?
Not necessarily. I think due to the combination of the skull, or not the skull suit, but the octo camo, as well as his willpower, and there are feats to suggest that at the very least the characters would be stronger than like the MGS2, like the MGS4, like Liquid Ocelot would be stronger than MGS2, like Solidus and Liquid Snake.
So you're saying that MGS4 Snake is stronger than MGS Snake?
Sure.
By how much? They're like in the same realm of power?
I mean, sure, he'd be. Well, I don't know about. What do you mean by same realm? Like he's just stronger.
Yeah, strong, but I mean, like, if MGS4 Snake and MGS2.
I don't think me thinking Snake. I don't think me thinking Snake is stronger. MGS4 Snake is stronger than MGS2 Snake contradicts me thinking that MGS4 Snake scales to Metal Gear Rising Raiden. If that's the point you're trying to make, I don't see why that would be a contradiction.
What I'm saying is basically that, like, if we go with that interpretation, we have Snake that fights people who like are comparable to MGS2 Raiden, and he fights them. Like, I mean, it's
I can give you a statement that the bosses in MGS4 are the strongest thus far, if that's what you're asking for.
Oh, okay. Can you give it to me?
Yeah.
What bosses? Well,
the beauties, yeah.
Beauty and Beasts.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not really, but it's still interesting.
Why is it not relevant? That he's fighting stronger bosses than any of the bosses Raiden.
It's not really my point with this.
Well, my point is that there's a consistency for him being strong, like for old Snake performing feats stronger than like anything that's seen in the series up until MGS4's development. So I don't know what, like, the comparison you're trying to. I don't know why you're trying to limit him to like MGS2 era characters. Is my point.
What I'm saying is that he would like scale relatively in some manner, and we have this like scaling chain with MGR where he would contradict him scaling to Raiden in any way.
Why?
Well, because it would be like. Can I just throw out the quantification for the supercomputer?
Show me the source. Show me the source. Because you're saying standard cyborg scale above MGS4 Raiden's body because of the battlefield potential is extremely limited statement?
Because it's obsolete and the battlefield potential is very basically, yeah.
Okay. Why can't the battlefield potential be due to
statements about and CNTs being like completely better than what came before, all of that.
Okay, so why is that Snake scales above MGS4 Raiden as well? So why is that a contradiction? I asked you this earlier as well. before you set your whole skill chaining or AP chaining.
I'm trying to actually think of like evident cases. But do you think they still scale relatively like MGS2 Snake and MGS4? Like, do you think there is a
I don't know what you. I don't know what like. So, he just is. Listen, evident for the sake. Evidently, if you think Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear Rising is a huge gap, then sure, he scales to that. Is what I'm saying. Like, you know what I'm saying.
So basically, you're saying that if we go with my interpretation of the scaling chain, you would say that MGS4 Snake is that much stronger than anything that came before?
If I were to go with that, sure, but I haven't been this entire debate. I have not been going with that interpretation. I've been arguing that interpretation, arguing against it.
Yeah, that I knew.
Okay.
I'm just reconcile. Huh.
Have I opened your eyes, Twellas?
I see it. I have found a way to reconcile my view. Did you post the scan? You posted it in general?
Or you want about the beauties?
Yeah.
Sure. Let me get that for you. I found this recently. This is Kojima talking, and here's the link to the full interview. But I'll post the relevant part of the scan in scans right now. So he says, in the first Metal Gear Solid, we featured a Special Forces unit that consisted of elite active soldiers. In MGS2, we needed an even stronger team, and after a while of thinking, we went with the Special Forces unit that trains and instructs other Special Forces units. We decided to give superhuman abilities to those characters, kind of like in American comics. In MGS3, we had to make even stronger characters, so we went with Legendary Special Forces unit. MGS4 is really tough since we had to go beyond legendary soldiers, so we thought that it might be better off if they weren't human. We made a unit of monsters called the Beauty and Beasts, or the Beauty and the Beast.
Well, strong. Yeah. If we go, I guess.
I think it's pretty blatant, in my opinion. I think it's pretty blatant in my opinion that he's talking about.
I agree, but it's there. It could be interpreted in some other way, but yeah, I think it's kind of blatant. Okay. So if we go, do you have a lot of some like blatant statements about Liquid Ocelot being a lot stronger than MGS1 Ocelot?
It's the feat of him being able to pierce the octo camo, where the octo camo would upscale from the skull suit, and neither
with the knife during their
and neither Raiden nor Solidus could cut through each other's exoskeletons and skull suits.
Do we know what Ocelot's knife was?
It's Snake's knife.
It was some. Okay, what's Snake's knife?
It's just it's a stun knife.
It wasn't like heat based like Blade Wolves.
No, I don't think so.
I forget. No.
I think it's just a knife that has like a current going through it.
Yeah. Is it the stun knife?
Yeah, that can like hit kill people.
Okay. And then there is the arm. The robot arm.
Yeah, he does have a cyborg arm. He's got that.
I guess. Do you have like a statement about MGS4 Vamp being stronger than MGS2 Vamp?
Not really, because it's implied that he always had the stuff like from the legs down, because that's because there's a statement that like the reasons that the frog unit can like jump around really well is because they have the shit on like their leg units amp them, and I think it's implied that Vamp has had them ever since, but he wasn't really kicking people in MGS2, so there's that. Whereas when he kicks Raiden, he sends
Can
him
you
flying.
give me like the implication of Vamp having them?
Sure.
Or something.
I think I have the scan of that. It might be in my Vamp section. Let's see. There's this from the art book, the MGS 1 through 4 art book, that says their like pants have characteristics similar. I know there's something explicit. I'm surprised that I don't have that somewhere.
Is this referring to the Beauty and the Beast?
No, it's referring to the Haven Troopers, the Frog unit.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay,
Yeah. Let me think. Where could I have that? I actually don't know if I have that. It's about like, I talk about him being able to run up walls, and it's that codec in MGS4. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, he could be doing it with speed.
Well, they say like, yeah. I mean,
do they say that it sticks to the wall?
Yes.
In that case, yeah.
Yeah, they're saying like, yeah, it's using some method of like magnetic. It's the thing that fucking Mistral shouts. Third hand law, third hand rule.
Left hand rule.
Yeah.
Monsoon, yeah.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fort, yeah.
Yeah.
They say it's that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, are you saying that he had them all the way back in MGS2?
Here's the codec. Snake, these enhanced soldiers seem to be using some sort of device to climb the walls. Doesn't look like they have spikes or suctions. Only guess, but I think their gloves and boots might have some mechanism that implies van der Waals force. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, climbing up the walls. And then Snake says, Otacon, what about Vamp? He ran up that support pillar in Big Shell. He thinks that's how he did it. And he said, Otacon, you mean, did he have the same technology? Yeah, he could have, Snake. So it wasn't that he had some freak supernatural powers. And Otacon says, hey, when technology starts to test the limits of our imagination, what's the difference?
As I said, are you arguing that he had them back in MGS2, or?
Yeah, well, that's what they're saying. Is it's heavily implied that he did.
Didn't he have like khaki shorts? No, not khaki shorts, but like
khaki
combat,
shorts. That'd be funny.
Like combat. How do you call them? Like long.
Well, he's just saying he says in their gloves and boots there's a mechanism that lets him do it.
Oh, inside.
Yeah.
So you're saying that since he had that sort of enhancement both in MGS4 and MGS2, they would be. I don't know that. I didn't get how that proves that MGS4 Vamp is stronger than MGS2 Vamp.
Was that what you asked me?
Yeah.
Well then. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I necessarily need to have anything for that. Like for at this point, my argument. I forget why I even brought that up, or why, like, what I was thinking. But anyway.
But,
now I'm just kicking myself for not having the scan I want.
I mean, you're arguing that MGS4 Snake is a lot stronger because he's fighting people that are bosses that are stronger than everything that came before and all of that, and then you have him fight a guy that's equal to an MGS2 guy.
Yeah, well, greater than a feat that could be performed in MGS2. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
The HF blade. He wasn't able. Raiden and Solidus weren't able to stab through each other, but
No, I'm talking about Vamp.
I don't. Why do I need to talk about that?
No, what I'm saying is that you're arguing that MGS4 Snake is a lot stronger because he fights stronger opponents, and then he fights comparatively to Vamp, who's in MGS2 and fights MGS2 Raiden. Am I missing a point or?
Okay. He fights characters that are stronger than anything thus seen in the production of the series in MGS4, and beats them all. And and necessarily those characters would also be stronger than Vamp, because those characters are also included. Like, he's saying that the Beauty and the Beast are stronger than Dead Cell, and honestly, if Vamp didn't get any stronger, that helps my argument, because all that we know canonically Snake did was shoot the fuck out of Vamp, get him in a headlock, and suppress his healing factor.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially just kind of no diffed him, at least in regards to like at that point.
So basically you're saying like there is no scaling that could actually contradict what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, I see. My main problem was that I couldn't really wrap my head around what I perceived to be the contradiction with the statement and the scaling. But I guess by looking at it like that, you could actually have it make sense.
All right, perfect. So is that it?
Yeah.
All right, excellent.
Okay.
Good debate.
Okay. What about the Armstrong
what Armstrong thing?
Before you guys, I know you guys think they're wrapping up. Just quickly,
Yeah.
that statement about the supercomputer, I just want to comment on it because I think you guys both misread it. Because he wasn't saying that he is the difference between him and a regular cyborg is that of a supercomputer. What he's saying is that regular computers are just like off-the-shelf material, while supercomputers you go out and get specific parts. And he's saying that the cyborgs are just like off the cuff, like, you know, mass made, while Raiden is like has like specific parts that they're getting for him. There's like a specific chosen. That was a distinction that we're making, that they weren't saying that he was more like the difference between them with that. I just want to say that.
But I'm okay. I think it's not just that. I think it also means that
you two can talk about that later. Let's just finish our our thing.
Okay. So about I was saying about the Armstrong thing. What's how did it end?
What do you mean?
We basically just stopped talking about it.
Yeah, I think essentially we just left it up to the judges.
Oh, okay.
For their judgment, because I think we pretty much said all we wanted to, right? You were just saying, yeah, here's my evidence for him getting stronger, and here's my evidence for him getting weaker, and then like attempted we attempted to counter each other, and so.
By the way, did you find the 4K video? So
I could yeah, I have a playlist of for that.
You link it so I can change the saved video, because this looks like ass.
You might be able to open that. If not, then I can send you the direct video and you can find the playlist.
Okay, yeah, I can open.
Okay.
Where is it?
But
the series. The all like 6 videos. Is this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yes.
it's all of them. I have to save them. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. But yeah. So, is there anything else?
No, I'm just interested in knowing about the Armstrong thing right now.
Yeah, I mean, we
the judges care, you know.
No, yeah, they're
important.
They'll judge their who they thought won the point or not. But are you, as far as the debate, we're done?
Yeah.
Okay, good debate.